Good evening and welcome to the planning board meeting tonight. Sorry we had such a delay, but we'll get things rolling right now. As a preliminary matter, this is John Regan, Chair of the Auburn Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, I will call your name. Please respond in the affirmative. Wendy Steinhilber. Wendy? Ron Brooks.
Aye.
Nicholas Lynch.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Present.
Todd Corain.
Present.
And one more time, Wendy. Okay, moving along. Town officials and employees participating when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Town planner Adam Menard.
Here.
Staff assistant Rachel Pressey.
Here.
DDIS director Darlene Coyle. I think Darlene stepped out. Good evening. The open meeting of the Town of Auburn Planning Board of Tuesday, October 13th, 2020 is now called to order at 7:55 p.m. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the Governor order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website, allows the public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the planning board is convening by remote participation for the public only. Although some members of the planning board are physically located in the selectmen's meetings in Town Hall, those members and employees are practicing social distancing in accordance with the governor's orders. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-312-757-3121 and enter access code 133-747-477. Or the public can join via computer at the gotomeeting.com/join/133-747-477. The remote access information has been posted on the town website identifying how the public may join. Please note, this meeting is being recorded by the Auburn Cable Television. Accordingly, those members of the planning board, employees, and members of the public who participate, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to the members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, Chair of the Board, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the Chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. The chair will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. First on the agenda tonight is the A&R for Eric Martineau, 100 Prospect Street. Is the applicant present? Or any representative?
I'm representing the applicant, Kevin Maher, 2 Stonebridge Road, Auburn, Massachusetts.
I can't hear it.
Kevin, this is Adam Menard. Can you repeat who you're representing?
I'm sorry?
Can you please repeat what you were saying? We lost you a little bit.
Oh, okay. Kevin Maher, 2 Stonebridge Road, Auburn, Massachusetts, representing the developer, not the developer, the property owner on this application for the A&R. Is there any questions?
Does anyone on the board have any questions? Ron, do you have any questions?
No.
Nick, do you have any questions?
No, but I believe I do have to recuse myself as I'm on a butter.
Okay.
Okay.
Steve Chambers?
No questions.
Todd Corain?
No questions.
And if you're there, do you have any questions? I guess Wendy's gone for the night. Does any member of the public have any questions regarding this A&R plan? Being none, may I have a motion to approve the subdivided lot as presented?
I'll make a motion, John, that we approve the A&R plan.
May I have a second?
Steve Chambers, second.
All those in favor, Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Nick Lynch? Oh, you recused yourself. Steve Chambers?
Aye.
Todd Corain?
Aye.
And myself was an aye. It is a vote. Next on the next up is the public hearing. Could I have a motion to open the public hearing for the applicant, Auburn Dermatology, requesting site plan approval?
I'll make that motion, Steve Chambers.
I'll second, John.
I am going to have to recuse myself. So, Nick, you're going to have to take over for this one.
All right, thanks, Ron. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just, we have permission to open the hearing already, so I'm going to go ahead and ask the board members if they have any questions at this time.
Nicholas, could you do a roll call vote for the open?
Yes, absolutely. Who do I have here from Auburn Dermatology?
Mr. Lynch, Steve Peichel, Burton Engineering, Southbridge, Mass. For the applicant, Lilla and Dan Viders.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up.
Yeah, Nick, it's Adam. We'll
Yep.
need a vote to open the hearing.
All right, I'm going to take a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll
John?
make that motion, Ronnie.
I'll second Steve Chambers.
Nick?
Yep.
It was opened by Steve Chambers already and seconded
I
by,
thought
we just need a roll call vote.
Okay. I'm going to start with Steve. Aye. Wendy, are you there? Ron?
Aye.
Todd Corain?
Aye.
And John Regan.
Abstained.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask the applicant to present.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Steve Peichel, Burton Engineering for the applicant. If you could please put up the most current site plan, 2.13 on the screen, if we could please.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up now.
Thank you. If you could, who is ever operating the screen, could you please expand to open to full width so we could see everything?
This is about as far as it'll go on the screen.
Slide
Okay.
it over there.
There's a little rectangle up on the top right-hand corner. It's a dash and then a rectangle and then an X. If you could push the little rectangle in the center.
You can slide it over though, Adam.
Yeah, all the way to the, oh, there you go. Up more to the right, please. Okay, if I may, I'm just going to do an outline of what my summary will be this evening. I would point out in the beginning that these documents do not represent the most current documents before the town. I had addressed all of the comments with Graves engineers, the 11 comments that we received in peer review. That is represented with these set of drawings, but the town engineer of Auburn, has also had 4 additional comments that I have addressed, but I will not be addressing in tonight's meeting for the reason that obviously the officials did not have an opportunity to see my revisions. So I will just provide that as a caveat to the meeting at this point. But in terms of summary, this is what I'd like to do in a format. I'd like to summarize the site plans, and then what I'll do is slowly and briefly go through the 11 comments that we did receive from Graves Engineering. And then what we could do is we could certainly entertain any questions from the audience. And then at that point, we could decide what would be the best way forward to proceed with going through the next round of questions from the town. So, if I may, Mr. Lynch?
Yes, go ahead.
The Viters are proposing a 12-lot parking area almost adjacent to Hampson Street. What we have provided in terms of documentation for that is the following. We have provided plans, we have provided specifications and details, and we have also provided a drainage report which outlines the way that we would channel stormwaters that would be created from adding impervious services to the site. My engineer, Elio Katori, is here with me tonight, and he could also, if we would like, we could entertain questions from here. But what I will do is I will give a not so complicated and very brief presentation. The Viters are proposing that we have an additional or overflow parking in this back area adjacent to Hampton Street. Currently, because of the C-19 protocols that the business has to accept, unfortunately, we cannot certainly maximize the parking that we have in the existing lot, which has forced the Viters to shuttle their employees to a parking area down the street, which has provided an encumbrance to the business. So our proposal will, and again, I've been through most of the documentation with the town, but for the public as well, I just wanted to remind everyone here that the only function that this parking area will serve is for employee parking. It will not be accessible to the public. Therefore, we do not have any, let's say, restrictions or benefits of accessible parking here. The Viters have met the accessible requirements of the site at the lower parking area. They have met the requirements for the number of spaces and the sizes and signage. So if there were any questions certainly about the accessibility of the site, we have provided for that in the existing parking area below. So we've already obviously done some clearing on the site and we brought some fill in. And what we are proposing to do is to add, and this plan shows 10 spaces, but we have added another 2 spaces to the lot. If you were looking at the lot straight away, if you're looking at the very top left-hand corner of the site, we had added an additional 2 spaces. We have provided lighting and also storm drainage capacity for all of the stormwater to be recharged back into the groundwater table, and most of the low points on the parking area have catch basins in them, and those catch basins will channel stormwater to chambers that are beneath the parking area. We have provided also a means or an access for employees only to make their way from the parking area to the lower lot. Mostly those are a stone dust path with pre-treated lumber stairs, site stairs that, because some of the site is actually pretty, in order to access the parking areas, we have to provide stairs because it's pretty steep. So we have provided those stairs within the building code for risers and treads. We've also graded the property and made a clearing area to provide for the path from the lower lot to the upper lot. So with that, I believe this is oh, one more thing, please. You're also showing in these plans, you're showing a gate as you access the property. It's the applicant's intention to not necessarily use a steel gate, but we will be providing 2 steel 4-inch diameter bollards with a chain strung between them to prevent any access to the site from the public when the lot is not being used. It is also the applicant's intent to box this area and prevent any parking in the winter months. Their business is such where their clientele don't necessarily use the facility for 4 months out of the year, so there would not be a need to provide parking in this particular area. So we will close it for 4 months out of the years in the winter months, and the lighting will not be on, but certainly in the other 9 months of the year, the lighting will be used. There is actually, if you were to go to the lighting page, which is page you could go to 2.3, whoever's operating our presentation. One of the things, if I may, just in terms of summary for lighting, we've been very careful, and thank you, if you could just expand that a little bit bigger so the audience could see this. We've provided fixtures and also lighting that will not spill into the adjacent site, but it's also our feeling that we provided enough foot candles on the site to provide to the standards and recommendations for the town. The town has reviewed the lighting plan and found that the intensities that we are providing are acceptable and also acceptable to the peer review engineer. So if I may just briefly go through some of the more salient comments that we received from Graves Engineering. There were questions, for example, about the open space nature of the particular plan and what we are proposing. We've actually met, and the peer review engineers agrees that we have met those percentages. We do not plan to provide so much parking in this area that we will provide too much impervious surface and then therefore create an issue with not only storm drainage from the site, but there will also be issues with maybe taking vegetation down that is unnecessary. The soil testing is also another question mark that has come up in terms of the engineering of the storm drainage system. We have, of course, brought additional fills onto the site. And that being said, we would have to provide a soil data and also a percolation rate in order to justify the amount of chambers underground and underneath the parking area to provide for a clear and non-ponding scenario on hard drainage and paved areas. We have contracted a soil testing agency, and within the week, they will be out there and they will be testing the soils for these percolation rates, so we can, once we do receive the data for these test rates, we can provide that with the town. But we feel that we have engineered a drainage system that, with the given or existing soils, will meet the criteria that we're proposing within DEP levels. Also, some of the other things that stood out, one, for example, there was a question about the width of the site block that went from the proposed parking area to the existing parking area. That was indeed expanded from 3 feet to 4 feet. There was also some questions about compliance with building code. We have looked into this, and we have provided information that says it is in keeping with 780 CMR within the building codes in terms of the amounts of and numbers of tread that go from one area to the next. There is a fairly steep difference between what is existing elevations at the parking area to the proposed parking area. So we plan to do that in such a way where the stairs that are proposed from the existing parking area are pretty much scaled simply and within the building codes of Massachusetts. And then the last thing I'd like to do to address comments that were given by our peer review engineer, Graves Engineering, was the lighting levels. And they have also reviewed the lighting plans, and they are in agreement that the lighting levels that we have provided are within the town regulations for lighting levels within a parking area. So with that, what I'd like to do is just offer my last part of this is really a sum up, and that is we have given all of the revisions for plans and comments for the first round of peer review. We have also plan to address any comments that are certainly going to be coming from the second review. And in that last section, we'll also provide the testing information for the soils to prove that our drainage rates from the site are acceptable and within state tolerances and guidelines. And then with that, Mr. Lynch, I'd like to give it back to you.
Thank you. So I'm going to assume that we're looking at pushing this to the next hearing as well, but why don't we first ask for public comment?
Thank you.
Yep.
Are you going to go through board members first, Nick?
Yeah, we can go through board members first, Ron. Why don't we start off with you?
Okay. There's quite an elevation change from the top of Hampton Street down to where they're going to be parking. And my question, did you say that some of it was steps out of wood and some of it was stone dust pathway?
Mr. Lynch, if I could address that question, Steve Peichel, Burton Engineering.
Go ahead.
What was the name of the person that was asking the question, please?
Ron Brooks.
Mr. Brooks, thank you for asking that question. It's a very good question. One of the things that we're very careful about, because there's about a 38-foot difference between what is proposed grades from the proposed parking area to the existing one, our plan is to do 3 significant site stairs that have a tread width of about 1 foot and have a riser height of no more than 7.5 inches. And as you come from the existing area, and if we could go back to sheet 2.1, if who's ever controlling the screen, I can demonstrate this.
I won't be able to see it because I can't.
I can explain it to you though, sir, yeah. And I will do that. Okay, so initially we have 17 stairs that. Thank you for bringing that up onto the screen. So the first set of stairs is 17 risers. You come up from the existing parking area. and then there is a landing that is 4 foot square that is level. And then what you do is you go up another 17 risers and you begin the stone dust path, which brings you to almost the middle of the path, and there's another set of side stairs that only have 3 risers, and then you have another length of stone dust path, and then to the final stair, which is 15 risers, and those 15 risers actually go back to the stone dust path and then to the proposed parking area. So there's a series of steps and paths that we've provided for people coming from the office building to the upper lot in such a way where it's a comfortable way to go up the stairs and a comfortable walk through the woods. We're also proposing, and you don't have this on your drawing right now, but there will be lighted bollards at the transition points. So for example, when you come to a side stair, there'll be a bollard left and right, and then when you go to the top of the stair, there will be a bollard left and right. So in the evening, as a person coming from the lower site to the upper site would be able to see the steps, and they will be well lit. So if that certainly is a concern, that's how we're going to address that.
That's
Did I answer your question, sir?
I got a couple of other things. That's got to be a 10 to 12% grade, it seems like, approximately, and from the top elevation down to the other one. And how are you going to keep those steps and their pathway clean in the wintertime of ice and snow?
Very good question, sir, and thank you for asking it. Like I said initially, it is not the intent for the Viters to keep this area open during the winter months. So any of, let's say, the O&M things, certainly the drainage system will be operational, and all of the functionality of, let's say, the parking area and how it drains will still be in operation. But during the winter months, we do not want to expose anyone to those certain elements, and there will be no parking in that area.
Okay. And another question, Nick, can I keep going?
Yes, Ron, go ahead.
Did you check the soil at all when they first began cutting the trees up there? Do you know what was underneath?
Yes, sir.
No,
there was no clay. There was a former engineer, and I can provide this information to you, sir. If you were to give me your email address, I can mail it to you directly. There were a series of test pits that were done up here under another engineering firm about 12 years ago that was proposed, and there was no evidence of clay in those boring samples.
Okay. You could just send that directly to Adam, and he can get it to me.
Very good.
Thank you. I'm all set for now, Nick.
Thanks, Ron. All right. So, Steve, do you have any questions?
I do. At the top, I believe you propose a 4-inch asphalt berm. Is there anything to prevent vehicles from going down that grade where your snow storage is if they were to come in from Hampton Street and not stop?
The grades are such that, I don't know if you can see this or not, and my apologies for the small screen, but you'll actually only see one contour that is at the it's almost mid-space between spaces 1 and 2. And that number is 496. And then when you go from that contour, you go down 2 feet, and that slope is on or about 2%. And that is really what's recommended not only by ASHTO, but it's also recommended by the town for grading within parked areas. So if there was a question about ice and snow, certainly we would certainly try to entertain that question, but seeing how there would be no vehicles parked and put in a condition where they could slide during the summer months, we don't feel that that would be a design consideration.
Okay, so from the parking lot to the first stair, that's two feet, you said, or something like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's
And then
2 feet and 20, so that's like 1 in 10. So that's,
Okay.
just think about it in those terms, 1 foot and 10. It's a fairly small slope for a parked area. So, we built up that soil pretty well, so it's fairly flat right now. And the proposed build out where it goes to that, it's going to be fairly, flat between 1% and 2%. But we need to, certainly drain water from it. So we have to have grades that, would enable water to flow from all our paved surfaces to the low points of the parking area.
Okay. And now, has that whole lot been cleared, or are there still trees outside the pathway?
There will be a minor amount of clearing, and that's at the if you look at the snow storage areas, in those corners we have to widen it just a little bit. I've staked it out in the field last week and with my client, and we feel that where the tree line is currently, in terms of the parked area, there's maybe one tree that may come down, and it's a very small diameter tree. It's no more than 6 inches.
Okay. And then on Hampton Street, you have the sight lines in order to exit that, enter and exit.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a fairly good size opening for queuing and within this parked area. And again, there's only 10 or 12 spaces. So if people coming from the parked area and then going on to Hampton Street, the sight lines are fairly good in both directions. There is a small curve as you're turning out of the lot to the right. But certainly anyone's options looking left and right will have a fairly good sight view. We can certainly document that if that's necessary.
I don't know if it's necessary. I'd like to see it, but I don't know if it's necessary. So at this time, Nick, I'll reserve the rest of my questions for final review of the drawings as they've amended them.
Thank you, Steve. Todd, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you for answering the vast majority of my questions in your presentation. Like Mr. Chambers, I would actually like to see those the sight distance triangles coming out of the driveway onto Hampton Street. So if you can provide that, that'd be great. The only one of the other questions I have, you mentioned that you will be installing lighting on the path, which is not shown on this the documents we have. And you indicated it's just going to be bollard mounted at the top and bottom of the stairs at each level. Have you looked at whether that's sufficient in the darker months for lighting the entire pathway? Or is your intention only to light the stairs?
Under the building code, typically we would follow that in terms of lighting levels that we would need. Certainly those are the important ones. Again, we do not intend to have this open in the winter months. Just as we start to come into fall, it will close. And that's when certainly we start to lose sun on the site. So we don't feel that it's a life safety issue at this point, but we would be willing to consider a smaller interval on the lighting along the path if it is the request of the planning board.
Okay. Yeah, I only asked because you said it's going to be closed four months out of the year. I assume that's December, January, February, and March. This sort of the heavier snow. But as you know, October, beginning of October, it starts getting darker earlier, and even the employees will be facing walking up this pathway in October or possibly early April under dark conditions. So if you don't mind looking at that, I'd appreciate it.
Certainly. mean, we could provide lighting levels if that is the wishes of the boards to see that.
Thank you. The other question I have is actually for the chair or for the town planner. I'm new to this, so my question is, since this is not directly connected to the existing parking lot down below, is this considered a new parking facility, or is this considered just an addition to the existing parking facility?
I'll defer to Adam on that.
Thanks, Nick. It was, the applications asked it to be considered as an addition, not a new lot. Honestly, that has not been considered by myself or the building commissioner. I can discuss it with the building commissioner tomorrow. I did not have a chance to see him before this meeting to ask that question. But we can discuss whether it be new or a completely new one or an addition.
Great, thank you. At this time, I'll reserve the rest of my questions. Thank you.
I'm going to give Wendy another shot if she's on.
One more thing.
Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
I'll talk to the gentleman at Burton Engineering. Are you currently parking there, or because I went by one day and I think I saw 3 or 4 cars there? Parked in that area.
Yes, that is correct. We have requested from the town, the building commissioner's office, that we could have 4 temporary parking areas as they are currently. The building department has granted those 4 spaces, and we can provide documentation if that is so required.
No, I'm good. And the last question is, when you talk about snow storage, you're talking about you're going to store the snow from the bottom lot off Southbridge Street and the upper lot off Hampton in the winter.
No, sir. My apologies. The intention is still to keep the lot clear of snow. We will not be using the lot, and that snow storage is for the lot that is being proposed. Is that clear?
Yes. Thank you.
Do any other planning board members have any questions at this time? All right, so I'm going to ask a couple of quick questions that I had written down. The first one being, and I apologize if you answered this already, but what is the latest an employee would be accessing the lot during the period of time while the lot is open, excluding those months where you close it during the winter?
I'm sorry, did you say the frequency? I guess I misunderstood you.
What is the latest somebody would be accessing the lot and the earliest they would be accessing the lot?
As I understand it, the applicant intends to keep the lot open till 5 p.m.
And what's the earliest that they would open the lot?
And again, 8 a.m.
Okay. All right, and I think you did address, it's one of the comments here, which was related to the sidewalk and stairs being proposed with 3 feet wide, which is more narrow, and you seem to address it that you would consider the 4-foot wide sidewalk and stairs?
Yes, Mr. Lynch, and I'm sorry if I'd forgotten your last name, but
that's fine.
Yes, we, in these latest revisions that we have sent to planning, we have went from a 3-foot wide walk to 4, and that is also, the stairs are currently being proposed as 4 as well, 4 foot in width.
Elio speaking here. If you open up the third attachment, you'll see the updated plans. They're not the plans from today, but they're the plans from last week.
This is Adam. These are the plans we have available at the moment. I don't see the other ones weren't uploaded yet. But they were, I can confirm they were changed.
It's the third attachment. The 1007, if you look there. 2020, 1007, 20M166. Stamp plans.
Okay.
You can see the updated layout and the 4-foot walk. If you scroll up, it's the third attachment from the top. Yeah. More.
So those are the site details. You'd have to just scroll up. Yeah, use your scroll bar. There you go. That's existing. Go back 1. There you go.
Oh, it's still you need to open up the attachment from the Auburn MA website, where you have all of the agenda and
Go into
the third. Yep, that one. I didn't want to cut off the members earlier.
Okay.
Thank you, Elio.
Sure. All right, thank you. So without any more questions, I'm assuming we're going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing or to extend the public hearing to the next meeting on the 27th.
Is there any public comment?
Yeah, that was the question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Kimberly Moran, and I am a resident of the Forest Park condo neighborhood that is directly across the street from this proposed parking lot. And I think that the condo community here has some concerns about traffic using the Forest Park property as a cut-through. We currently have this problem with Grove Medical, where people cut through Forest Park from Packagug Street, through Forest Park, and into Grove Medical. We are private property, and we are having a great difficulty keeping public traffic out of Forest Park. We've had a couple instances where people have almost gotten hit because we don't have sidewalks. And if we add another business parking lot, even if it's only employees, we're talking 12 cars coming through. How does the town plan to deter public traffic coming through Forest Park?
I'm sorry, Kimberly, is that a question to the applicant or is it a question to the town?
Whoever wants to take it. We've been trying to have an agreement with the town to put up 2 posts and a chain to block the Hampton Street exit and entrance into Forest Park, and we've been denied. We're responsible for plowing our own street and paving our own street at our own expense without town subsidy. And any increased traffic is going to increase the wear and tear on our property and the safety of our residents and the children living here. So before another business parking lot is put in, we need some assistance on what to do to stop public traffic from coming through here as a cut-through.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to answer that question, if I may.
Go right ahead.
It's the wish of Miss Fran. Is that your last name? I'm sorry, Kimberly?
Yep.
Kimberly, I believe the applicant would certainly be willing to put up a sign that says private parking if that would help your cause.
We already have that.
Also, again, you do?
Yeah, we
I
have
don't know
signage.
what else we certainly could do.
We have signage on our property that says it's private property and no through traffic is allowed. We've installed speed bumps. Nothing has worked. And we either need the town to cooperate and let us close that entrance or come up with some other solution to stop through traffic before another public parking lot is put in.
Right. Mr. Chairman, if I may. I believe this is an enforcement issue that certainly I'm sure that the town would be willing to address. However, I don't believe that the applicant could even, if they wanted to, address this particular issue.
Ms. Moran, this is Nick Lynch, the Vice Chair, too. I think that while your concerns are definitely valid, I think that is something that would have to be taken up with local town safety, more or less.
We've taken to the fire department, the police department, and we've asked the town manager to come and talk to us, and we've gotten nowhere. And now we are looking at another parking lot being put in a residential community where everyone's cutting through our lot, and there's a lot of concern with the neighbors here.
Right. No,
so
I understand what you're saying. I understand the concern. Obviously, that's something that we have to consider before any approval is done, given that it is a safety concern brought to us by an abutter. I definitely respect that. And I do think it's something that we can even ask for, with regards to, I know that you have the speed bumps that are put in there to slow traffic from the cut through. And being very familiar with that area, I drive up that street multiple times a day picking up my kids from either daycare or school. So I'm very aware that that's used as a cut through too in the concerns. But I do think that's something that we could ask, whether it was, police or the town itself to comment on what additional impact that may have, so that at least we're aware before any board decision is made.
All right, so the police and the fire chief have both told us that if we put a gate or a chain up at the Hampton Street exit, we're preventing emergency vehicles from cutting through Forest Park. So we've already gone down that road. We literally are just getting the door shut in our face at every turn, and now we're looking at more traffic coming through. And I know that they're saying that only 4 cars are allowed to be parking in that lot right now, but that's not accurate. That lot is full almost every single day. And they're cutting through Forest Park to get there.
Respectfully, I do think that we're going to have to ask for public comment from specifically police and fire to have that same, exactly what you've outlined there, so that we know that there isn't an option additionally on that. I trust you, what you're saying is accurate, but I do think it's a point that we ask them for that comment, okay?
Okay, that sounds great.
Nick?
Go ahead, Ron.
I just heard Mrs. Moran say that the lot is full every day. Are you
pretty much
talking about the lot? You're talking about the lot at Grove Medical?
No, I'm talking about the new lot that's not paved yet. That's right across from our dumpsters.
And
that lot is being full. Oh, it's full every day. And there are signs there that say it's private property and no one else should park there, but that's not true. People sit in their cars. Teenagers come and sit in their car and hang out up there. It's an area that's surrounded by trees, except for looking in it from the Forest Park side, so it's nice and private. So a lot of the high school kids go up there and smoke and hang out in their cars. And I suspect that the dermatology center has had issues because they did recently put up signs that says it's private property and no one else is supposed to use it, but it's being used all the time and it's full.
Right, because the presenter for the applicant said that the town has only granted them 4 temporary spaces till it's all built.
Yeah, that's not happening. I can tell you that already. They're using it at capacity right now.
So, Ms. Moran, your comments are valid. I understand that part of it. I do think that it's important that concerns you have of others outside of employees who may be parking there temporarily, that sort of thing, that be broken up, that be brought to the attention of whether it was law enforcement or what have you. I don't think that's necessarily a point that this board can take up right now. But I do think that it's important for us to look into what other options, maybe make it accessible in another manner for only employees there, whether it was some type of card access or gated lot that can only be accessed one way by employees who actually work there. I think that's a thought, or something that we could even consider that would kind of that would change some of those concerns and maybe even offer a solution that would the applicant could certainly consider.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Forest Park, our concern is more using us as a cut-through and less over who's parking in that lot. I think if no one's cutting through Forest Park, have at it. Anybody can park in there. But we've got issues with safety for the residents in Forest Park where it's private property and we're being used as through traffic. So I was told to join this meeting and bring my concerns here. And if there's somewhere else I should go, or the board should go, I would love to know where to do that. Because we've been told to go to the police chief, we've been told to go to the fire chief, we've been told to go to the town manager, and all those avenues have proved fruitless.
Sure. So just more of a suggestion too, and this is not from myself, but another one of the planning board members did mention, is it possible to have, or have you guys spoken at all to public safety, whether it's police or fire, about possibly having gated access that could be used, or was that still shut down due to the fact that it was a concern for fire and emergency vehicles?
The board at Forest Park has spoken to the police chief, and I believe the fire chief, and I believe also the police chief, and we were told we were not allowed to put a gate up.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why if we're not allowed to put a gate up to protect our own residents, we take issue with another public parking lot being put in.
Certainly, I understand that, and I think that you've made that point too. So I think it's going to be under advisement and something that we'll consider before that vote is actually made. Okay.
Okay. So what would my next steps be? Do I attend the next meeting, or will someone follow up with the board, or?
Well, there will be another public hearing on this. On Adam, I believe it's the 27th, correct?
That's to be determined. Town meeting is on the 27th, so we may have to, we'll have to reconsider that particular date.
Okay. So that would be my first thought would be to direct you towards the next meeting, and maybe we can even ask the applicant if they have any suggestions that may either, I mean, obviously you're trying to limit access through it, so maybe if there's something where they can communicate to their employees about not accessing it, because I think that's really what you're referring to, is the employees that would access this lot would then be coming through Forest Park. So some type of understanding from the employees that work there not to be accessing through Forest Park,
Sure.
but more so from Hampton Street.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask if we have any further public comment. Okay. Can I make a motion to continue the hearing?
Hello, this is Dr. Viders himself from 207
Sure, Dr.
Oxford Street. Hi, I would just like to make a few comments, if it pleases the board.
Go ahead.
I just want to say the parking lot will be closed in the winter because most of our patients go to Florida for the snowbird months. And most of my employees come from the Southbridge, Charlton area, so I don't think any of my employees will be cutting through the was it Forest Park?
Yes.
Forest Park Drive? Yeah, no, I can understand Grove Medical. They're seeing hundreds of patients a day. This will be about 8 or 10 people coming in once, and most of them eat lunch in the building and leaving at 5 o'clock. And, we're only parking 2 or 3 cars up there, and my wife gives me a ride around the block to get to the front of the practice. Listen, we're happy to put up some security cameras. If the teenagers are in there, that is not good. So, we're totally amenable to help making that only an employee lot. And just to comment on Mr. Brooks, we also bought a used corporate van that we're currently shuttling our employees down the street. So, if no one wants to walk down, we're not going to force any employees to walk up and down the steps. So we have a little minivan we can shuttle around the block. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Viders. All right, do we have any other comment? All right, so I'm going to make a motion to close this public hearing and continue it to the next meeting to be determined, Adam.
We don't want to close it, just continue it.
Okay. All right.
Continue. Nick, I'll make that motion.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it, Nick.
All right. So all in favor, please respond aye. Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
Todd Corain?
Aye.
John is, I'm assuming, abstaining, so it's Nicholas Lynch, and I'm an aye as well.
Nick, could you do me a favor and just say your name for the roll call for the open?
Yes, Nicholas Lynch.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to John.
Thank you, Nick. Next on the agenda is applicant Titus General Contract and request for site plan approval.
Mr. Chairman, thank you on behalf of the applicant for entertaining the application.
Next up on the agenda is the applicant Titus General Contracting request for site plan approval under section 3.2.5.7 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for an addition to an existing general contractor's office on property located at 13 Hill Street, Auburn, Mass., map 65, parcel 2. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
This is Steve Chambers. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Nicholas Lynch.
Aye.
Ron Brooks.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
Todd Corain.
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, is aye. It is a vote. The hearing is now open. Is there anyone from the applicant here online with us tonight?
Yeah, the owner, Dennis Melvin.
Good evening, Dennis. Sorry for the long wait tonight.
That's okay.
Let me ask any of the board members if they have any questions before I go. I'll start with...
John,
It's Ron Brooks, John.
Okay, Ron, go ahead.
Is it Dennis?
Yes.
Can you just describe what it's on the part of Hill Street that goes up the hill? I mean, it's done starting down by Ronnie's Dairy Bar, heading up the hill.
Yeah, we're like the first, well, there's a driveway before us, but we're the first building heading up the left.
Because it said office building, and I just can't picture it, but I know what you're talking about now.
Well, it always was like, I think it was a construction office prior, and then I think he was a landscaper maybe in there prior to us buying the building. And then we just converted it into just cleaned the office up a little bit when we bought it.
John, can I ask?
I'm out.
Can I ask them? Yeah. John, can I ask them to provide an overview for those that don't have all the documents?
Sure. Would you do that for us, Dennis, please? Give us an overview.
Okay. Well, we're putting on a 600 square foot addition to the office. The office space room. So I think you guys probably have the site plan that shows the parking in the front. There's 2 lots that are existing in this building right now. We're just keep these same lots. We don't plan on expanding any of the parking lots. We are, however, adding like handicap ramp inside the building, and a second ADA bathroom in the building to be compliant.
And is this new addition, I believe there's 2 floors, the basement floor and then the ground floor?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you good. There's some...
I said, I am guessing that this is a 2-floor addition, a basement level and a first floor level?
For some reason, I'm sorry, but I'm having a real hard time hearing you.
I am assuming that this is a 2-level addition, a basement floor and a first floor.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
And the basement will be just used for storage?
Yep, just storage.
No vehicles, no repairs?
No vehicles, no repairs.
Okay. Does there have to be any...
The only equipment...
Pardon me?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The only equipment we have is like lulls and stuff like that, and those would never even fit in this building. Our office trucks are all serviced by Herb Chambers, and no gas or side of our building. We do have a lawnmower in the back of
Yeah, I'm not going to
Other
count
than that,
that.
it's storage just for cabinetry and our stuff.
So do you have to excavate down alongside the building to create access to this, or does the lot drop off right now to meet the access at the end of the building for the double garage door?
Yes, there's right now it's a big lot back there. It's pretty much all just a flat lot. So we have like a storage container in the back. So yeah, I mean it's pretty open there when you go to, I don't know if you've seen it, but you could it's just pretty much a big parking lot. So this addition is going pretty much inside of the parking lot in the back. And
So
there is some lawn, but it's right side, and this is on the left side. It's a huge 150 by 300-foot parking lot back there.
So the basement level will be essentially the same level as the existing parking space back there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nick, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Ron, do you have any more questions?
No.
Steve, do you have any questions?
Yeah, how many employees do you have on site, and what's your typical customer base look like? Do you have people there in and out all day?
We have 4 employees, but 1 or 2 of them are generally out to sites. They're project managers. Then we have an office manager and a project coordinator, and then I'm there. And as far as people coming in and out, it's pretty quiet. Like we'll have our subs come in and out occasionally, mostly the end of the weeks, obviously. And then we do have some customers that do come in once in a while because we cabinetry. Yeah. And then we have a conference room for if we have any meetings with any new customers or clients. But it's actually pretty quiet in these days.
Okay, so I guess my concern would be if you're having that addition without adding additional parking spots, do you meet the square footage parking for that
We will have, I think we'll have about 10 spots, but we also have that whole back lot that is, like I said, it's a parking lot. It's got actually road grindings on it, so we don't get any grass or anything grows through it. It's pretty big, so if we needed low parking, it's very simple on that back side of the building. In the front, we had paved the section that's where I bought them, and then we
Dennis, you're breaking up. Dennis, you're breaking up. It's hard to hear you.
All right, can you hear me?
Can now.
Sorry about that. So as I was saying, it's 5 parking spots above, and then there's 5 parking spots below, but we do have a spot back for overflow parking if we ever needed it.
Okay, thank you. I'm done with questions, John. Thank you.
I would just add that there's probably only 3 or 4 cars parked there on an average day.
With the addition, it actually mathematically comes out to an addition of 3.5 parking spaces, so he has plenty of room in the back for that. Todd, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'm going to ask for any public comment. There being none, I may have a motion to approve as...
Close.
Could I have a motion to close the hearing?
John, I'll make a motion, it's Ronnie, to close the public hearing.
May I have a second?
Steve Chambers, I'll second.
All those in favor? Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
Todd Corain? Myself, John Regan, is an aye. It is a vote. May I have a motion to approve the plan as presented to the planning board?
This is Nick Lynch. I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion, John.
All those in favor? Nicholas Lynch?
Aye.
Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
Todd Corain?
Aye.
I myself, John Regan, is an aye. It is a vote. Good luck with your new addition.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda is citizens petition to amend the Auburn zoning map 8 and 10 Maple Street, assessors map 60, parcel 79 and 96, currently zoned residence A, bracketed RA, to highway business HB. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Steve Chambers, I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
This is Nick Lynch. I'll second it.
All those in favor? Nick Lynch?
Aye.
Ron Brooks?
Aye.
Steve Chambers?
Aye.
Todd Corain?
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, is an aye. It is now open. Is there anyone from the representing the citizen's position for the Auburn zoning? I believe that would be you, Todd Broder, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Attorney Todd Broder on behalf of Powell Family Realty Holdings, LLC. You'll know them as the family that owns and operates Crystal Caves Mini Golf and Entertainment Center. As you indicated, Mr. Chairman, we're on the agenda because we filed a citizen's petition for a zoning change to 2 parcels of land. And tonight, your board has a chance for review and comment and making a recommendation to town meeting. So I wanted to provide you with a little bit of background and information and whatever, answer any questions that you may have as we go forward here. 8 and 10 Maple are 2 currently residentially zoned parcels, which sometime between the last 7 or 8 years, there were residential houses on those 2 pieces of property, which were in very poor condition and were demolished during that time, and the land has sat vacant for quite some time. So the proposal here is to extend over the highway business zone, which incorporates the land kind of up and down Southbridge Street and Washington Street, for that matter. Extend that zone over to incorporate both 8 and 10 into that highway business zone. The Powell family would like to establish a small restaurant facility on that area, which would supplement the existing family entertainment center. The Powells have a son who is interested in potentially a barbecue joint, which I thought would be pretty interesting. So just to kind of further frame the issue, as you can see on this colored up plan, the area in white is the area that is currently zoned residential. The last one was, yeah, that's probably better. The pink is highway business. The white is the residential A, and the I guess yellow color is another residential zone. I think it's residence C. But up and down, Southbridge Street, you have that highway business area. Now these 2 parcels are right at where Southbridge Street, you go right past Crystal Caves, and immediately on your right there's a street that heads diagonal up, and that is Maple Street. As you go left, then you get into the intersection of 12 and 20. There is an additional parcel which is a entity, and it's also highway business zone. I don't think that is developable at all, but it's there and could be utilized to buffer or whatnot from this site. But what we're really trying to do is rezone the parcel so that a restaurant use would be a use that would be subject to site plan approval. Right now, it wouldn't be an allowed use at all in that zoning district. So the plans for such a restaurant would be in the future. This is the first step in the process of just getting the property rezoned so that the use would be available. 8 Maple Street is 0.873 acres, and 10 Maple Street is 0.635 acres. So combined, a total acreage of about 1.5 acres. Not a huge parcel, so this isn't going to support, a massive restaurant operation, but that's not the intention. We do feel like we would be able to fit an appropriately sized building with parking facility and probably at this point a lot of outdoor seating. So again, the Powell family's been in Auburn and in business for over 25 years at the Crystal Caves facility, and this is an addition to that campus in a way. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's really all that I have for the formal presentation.
Do we have any questions from the board? I'll start off by starting at the top of the list. Nick, do you have any questions?
I guess more just not necessarily for the applicant, but Adam, maybe you can answer this. What we're really just being asked to do is to support this particular petition, correct?
Yeah, basically, we're looking to eventually vote whether to recommend town meeting approve the article or not approve the article. Town meeting is going to be taking this up regardless of the decision tonight.
Right. That's what I anticipated. I guess my main question would be: is this really something that is that is the purpose of this board? Particularly, while I do 100% think it's a good use for the space, that sort of thing. I just always thought this was kind of deemed spot zoning, and I wasn't sure if that was the case or if this was a particular board that should be making that kind of vote of support or not.
To the chair, I can try to answer that. I don't think in this case there would be spot zoning, since it would have bought the highway business zone that's already there, so it wouldn't be having a random highway business zone in the middle of residential. It's already bordering highway business. As to whether the planning board should take this up, yes, this is one of the planning board's duties, is considering these types of changes. They regulate the zoning bylaw along with the zoning board of appeals. Together it's your regulatory duty to kind of review these kinds of things.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.
Welcome.
You all set, Nick?
I'm all set, yes.
Ron, do you have any questions?
Yes, I just want to say, John, and to the board, that I am adamantly opposed to change this zone. I don't know why we would do it to facilitate someone just to build a restaurant that they want. When they bought the property, they knew it was residential and that it was not highway business, okay? And they talk in the letter that was sent to the selectmen about it being matching the zoning. Well, it matches. Right next, the next property over is a residential neighborhood. There's several houses in an apartment complex on Maple Ave. And the last thing they need, I would say, those residents, is having an outdoor seating or a restaurant there and more traffic and another curb cut on Southbridge Street, or even if it didn't come in off Southbridge and came through their existing parcel. I don't think we should be agreeing or recommending a zoning change to facilitate one party to build a restaurant or anything else. It is not highway business. Highway business is on the rest of Southbridge Street and Washington Street. Other than the road being diagonal, it's the same thing as saying, oh, well, right up to Warren Road and Waterman Road, it's all highway business, so why don't we just go down and make it highways? The first two houses, somebody buys them, takes them out, now they want to put businesses. I am adamantly opposed and would not recommend it under any circumstance.
Do you have anything else, Ron?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Steve, do you have any questions?
Yeah, if this were to get approved, is the existing building coming down immediately, or?
We've already gone.
You know, you said
I can answer that. The buildings that were on those lots were demolished, best I can tell, maybe 7 or 8 years ago by Google Maps, and yeah, they were in really rough shape.
Okay, thank you.
Todd, do you have any questions?
Yeah, if you don't have an answer for this, I understand. If this is not approved, are there any plans for the parcel the current owners have? Are they going to sell it? Are they going to try to develop it residential, or?
No, this has been sort of a long-term plan for them, in their minds anyway, in terms of a master plan. Once the opportunity came about, I think it's a tough area to develop residentially because it is busy. It's one of the parcels has frontage on Southbridge Street, so it's not as if it's completely outside the business zone, and it's very busy right there. It's just not a desirable residential lot. So I understand Mr. Brooks' concern, and that is certainly something that the petitioner is aware of and would be cognizant of in terms of offering buffering and the like. And I don't think that you'll find this to be a heavy use. A drive-through and that sort of use would not be allowed on this site under any circumstance. This would be a real kind of standing restaurant with some parking. But no, there are no other plans to develop.
And just one other question. If this is approved, and before you can actually construct the restaurant, you'd have to come back to this board and go through the whole site plan review, where we can discuss issues such as traffic and neighborhood concerns, et cetera. Is that correct?
That's correct. The request, the reason why we chose to go with the rezoning was to understand if the town would be supportive of changing the zoning so that those types of uses would be permissible, but only under site plan approval. So yes, the planning board would be reviewing this in detail as you do all your other applications for any kind of new uses.
Okay, thank you. I'm all set.
I have a few questions or comments, Todd, as I'm sure you well know I would have. My biggest concern here is kind of like Ronnie's, but if this is rezoned to business, we don't know where the curb cut would be. We don't know if it would be on Maple Street or on Southbridge Street. So in order to make that a safe passing, you would have to make Maple Street a one-way street in the southbound direction. Otherwise, you're going to have people coming out of the parking lot, taking a left on Maple and trying to take a right on Southbridge Street. You're just begging for an accident. And I appreciate your comment about saying there wouldn't be a drive-through allowed, but there's nothing there to prevent these owners now from selling this down the road in 5 years. Then the next person comes in and buys it, it's already zoned business, and they're going to want to put a drive-through through. So those are my concerns. So I'm not for it myself.
Just taking a look at the zoning bylaw and the table of uses, I am fairly certain, because I did look at this, that a drive-through would not be permissible in this area. But I could be mistaken. But I will tell you, to address the traffic and or
a traffic pattern concern. There is a triangular piece of land that sits between Maple Street and Southbridge Street. I'm not even sure it has a number. It's 0.22 acres, and it's the triangle that extends down, and there's a stop sign right there. You know, there would have to be certainly a lot of consideration given to where a curb cut may be and how this land is utilized and how intensively it's utilized and how the traffic impacts would work. I certainly would agree that, you know, you'd be talking about a restriction, you know, no right-hand turn out of this facility down Maple Street. You know, you'd want everybody going back out to Southbridge Street.
Yeah, but then they're going to try to make a right on Southbridge Street. You're going to create an accident.
You know, would we want to round out that corner, which is, you know, owned by this same property owner, in order to make a safer transition, a right onto Southbridge Street? I think a right is lawful at this point, and it probably could be made safer with some accommodations on that triangular piece of land. So, you know, there may be a chance to improve that intersection in a macro sense, never mind for purposes of this potential restaurant.
So do you know who owns the triangular piece and the piece right to the west of it, Todd?
My client owns that piece, the triangular piece that I'm referring to.
Yep. And what about the lot next door?
Further on, that's the Galaxy Development, KFC, and that facility.
So you would actually probably have to wipe out that triangle, cut off Maple Street, and if you came down Southbridge Street, you'd have to make a right and then go to the left to get down Maple Street and come out so you could have access to the right or to the left on Southbridge Street. Because the way it is now, you're saying you can't make a right-hand turn on Maple Street to prevent traffic going by what residential homes there are up there. I mean, there's a row of condos up there and everything. But if you come down Maple Street to the east, heading towards Southbridge Street and try to make a right, someone's going to get killed. I guarantee it.
I certainly recognize the need to look at that pretty carefully, and the positive here being the fact that the same property owner controls that triangular piece there, and you know, it would be in their best interest to keep that area as safe as possible and to make whatever improvements make sense. And that would be certainly something that I would expect to be talking about if town meeting approved this zoning change. You know, that is certainly an issue that would be top of mind as we went into site plan approval.
Right, but if the owner wants to transform that triangular piece, whatever, he can pretty much do what he wants on the Maple Street side. On the Southbridge Street side, he has to deal with the state. That's a state highway, Route 12. So he can't just go in and do whatever he wants.
No, I understand.
So those are my concerns. Is there any public comment?
John, I have something else.
Okay, Ron, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I think, is Wendy's the only one that's absent tonight?
Correct.
Yeah. I would think out of courtesy that we would wait on something so serious to vote on it until she's hopefully at the next meeting.
To the chair, this is the only opportunity for the board to make a recommendation.
Prior to town meeting.
So, Adam, do we have to take an action on it?
You can approve, or you can, or not approve.
Correct.
Or recommend or not recommend, I should say. We don't have the ability to
recommend, right?
I think you'd have to take a stance one way or the other.
Okay. Well, so I understand that the voters are going to have their say. And my stance on this is if they're looking to increase their taxes on the property and then have to come back and potential development or site plan approval, I think it's something we should consider if they want to pay more taxes on that lot until something else is developed.
John, are you you open to a motion?
Didn't get a chance to see if there's any public comment, Ron.
Okay.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a comment on this application or petition? There being none, I'm going to ask for a motion for a vote, and when I call your name, you'll either...
John?
Yes.
Ronnie Brooks, I'll make the motion that we send a not favorable recommendation to the town meeting.
This is the way I'm going to make the roll call, Ron. Once I get the motion for a vote, I will call each of your names. You'll either give me a yay or a nay. And wherever the numbers fall will be the recommendation or the non-recommendation. Does everybody understand?
Yay in favor, nay, not in favor.
In favor or not in favor, either way. So could I have a motion to take a vote?
John, this is Steve Chambers. I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second, please?
This is Nick Lynch. I'll be the second.
Hey, Nick, do you recommend or not recommend this to be the zoning bylaw change for these two parcels?
I don't recommend.
Ron Brooks, recommend or not recommend?
I don't recommend.
Steve Chambers, recommend or not recommend?
I do recommend.
Todd Corain, recommend or not recommend?
I do recommend.
I, John Regan, is a not recommend. The vote is 3-2 and not recommending.
Okay, thanks everybody for your time.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Should make a motion to close the public hearing
Already did.
after the fact. Did we close the hearing?
I closed the hearing, then I asked. Comment.
Never mind then.
I did, Rachel, didn't I?
No, you did not close the public hearing. You opened it, you didn't close it.
Okay, may I have
John, Ronnie Brooks, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
may I have a second?
This is Nick Lynch. I'll second it.
Hey, do we have to go and do the vote again, Rachel?
Yes, please.
Okay. May I have now that the hearing is closed, may I have a motion for a vote?
Steve Chambers will make a motion for vote.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we did the motion to vote. We did not do the motion to close. So I have the roll call vote for the motion to vote. I just need the roll call vote for the motion to close.
Okay. May I have a motion to close the hearing?
We did that. Steve was first and I was second.
Okay. I'm going to call roll call for a vote. Nicholas Lynch?
Aye.
John, it's a roll call to close only.
This is what it's for. This is the roll call to close the hearing. Nick made the motion, or Steve made the motion to close the hearing. Nick made the second to close the hearing. Now I'm calling for a vote to close the hearing. Correct?
Yes, please.
Nicholas Lynch.
Aye.
Ron Brooks.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
Todd Corain.
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, is an aye. The public hearing is now closed. Next on the agenda is applicant Gary and Sheila Conroy, request for a site plan approval with waivers under 3.2.3.5 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a World War II monument to be constructed on the property located at 516 Southbridge Street, Assessors Map 48, Parcel 143. Is there anyone representing Gary and Sheila Conroy here?
Yeah, I think we're both here. Gary, it says Donna, that's my wife's computer, and Sheila is my sister over to the other side.
Okay.
Well,
Could you give us an overall view?
Yeah, I'll give you, we're trying, we've, our history in Auburn dates back to 1850s, and we've got a small parcel of land across the street from the Auburn World II and Korean War Memorial. And we're trying to create a World War II memorial for Ralph, Robert, and Fred Conroy, who all served in World War II. Fred is our father. And from a process standpoint, we've gone to MassDOT to understand their setback requirements. We've gone to Bill Coyle from the Auburn DPW to give us his perspective of how to navigate this through the town. We've gone to William McLean, the Veterans Advisory Committee Chairman. We've gone to the National Archives and Records Administration to get the military records of our uncles and father. We're now before the Auburn Planning Board. We think this is an ideal location across the street from the Water Street Veterans Park, and where our objective is to really, make a monument, a small monument, 6 by 10, that would take this corner, clean it up, and have it face the Auburn Memorial. Our family homestead was at 510 Southbridge Street, adjacent to the family business Conroy Brothers Construction. We also have a history in the town of building the Auburn Airport in the 30s, Chieftain Liquors in the 50s, Auburn Candlepin in the 50s, and Howland Whitney in the lumber yard in the 50s and 60s. Captain Ralph Conroy was a Air Force, in the Army Air Force. He flew out of England the entire war. He flew Eisenhower, MacArthur, and Truman. Corporal Robert Conroy enlisted in 1943. He was in the 38th War Dog Platoon in Italy. He was killed in 1945, and he was recognized with a Purple Heart. Our father, Fred, left school, never graduated from high school, and enlisted in 1944 and was deployed in Europe in the heavy machinery and construction business. Most recently, we lost our two cousins, Bobby Conroy and Bobby Whitney, who served in Vietnam, and we really have a sense of urgency about completing this idea and this project as soon as possible. And again, this is property that's left over from our family homestead and our construction business that operated for 40 years in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and ended in the 60s. All of these guys died very young and that didn't make it out of the war. So this we really want to do.
Is there anyone on the board that has any comments? I'll start with you, Nick.
I have no comments except to say that I applaud you for making the effort to doing this.
Ron Brooks?
Yes, John, I'd like to say I would be fully in favor of this. I think it's a wonderful thing. The family has been in Auburn for years. I knew almost everybody. And Sheila, I think I heard you there.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and it's that little spot is kind of messy. It would be, I think it would just be an added positive to the town, and make it look. It'd be really nice right there, and it would be such a nice thing to do.
Thank you, Ryan.
How big is that little piece?
It's about 2,000 square feet, Ron.
Yeah, and the way it's at like an angle almost, it will be looking right down towards the other one at Church Street.
It's right across from the town memorial.
Yeah. It's. I just think it would be a welcome addition to Southbridge Street.
Thank you, Ron.
Steve Chambers, do you have any comments?
Yep, I appreciate all the effort that you guys went through prior to coming to the board, and I think everything looks good, and I applaud your efforts. Thank you.
Todd, do you have any comments?
Just to say that I'm supportive and to thank your family for their service.
Thank you again.
I feel the same way, and to me, there aren't enough monuments honoring the men and women who've lost their lives to let us do what we do today. Are there any public comments? There being none, may I have a motion to approve? Nick Lynch.
John, it's Ronnie Brooks. I'll make a motion to approve.
Hold on, John, could you open the public hearing?
Not a public hearing. It's an application. I went through that with Adam beforehand.
Yeah, they requested a waiver of the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
So let's start again. May I have a motion to approve or vote?
I gave Ronnie Brooks, I gave the motion to approve, John.
Okay, could I have a second, please?
This is Nick Lynch. I second it.
Okay, all those in favor, Nick Lynch,
Aye.
Ron Brooks,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
Todd Corain,
Aye.
myself, John Regan, is an aye. All in favor, it is a vote. Good luck with constructing your monument. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is applicant Eastland Partners Incorporated, request for site plan approval under section 3.2.2.1 and 5.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for a two-family dwelling on property located at 28-30 Albert Street, Auburn, Mass., map 65, parcel 70. They have requested a continuance to the next meeting. Do I have a motion to continue?
I'll make that motion to continue.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Nick Lynch,
Aye.
Ron Brooks,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
Todd Corain,
Aye.
myself, John Regan, aye, it is a vote. And we'll determine when the next meeting is at the end of our agenda. Next on the agenda tonight is applicant SZLL Realty LLC, a definitive subdivision plan for a 13-lot single-family home development of property located at 178 Hampton Street and 19E Nav, map 12, parcel 120. There is a request for a continuance for this also. May I have a motion to continue?
Steve Chambers, I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
Ronnie Brooks, I'll second it.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. Nick Lynch,
Aye.
Ron Brooks,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
Todd Corain,
Aye.
myself, John Regan, aye, it is a vote. Moving on to other business, I think Adam would have something to say about the appointment of the CMRPC delegates.
Yes, thank you, John. This is our annual time for the planning board to appoint their two delegates, CMRPC. The town has 3 delegates and 1 alternate delegate to CMRPC. It's important to participate in their events. As long as somebody attends some of their regular events, whether it's a quarterly meeting or other meetings, the town gets hours of earned time that we can use on various projects or mapping, up to 20 hours a year. It's very beneficial for the town, especially with the mapping. We don't really have anybody in town that does mapping, and CMRPC does a lot. So the current or previous CMRPC delegates from the planning are Stephen Chambers and Scott Wren. I already checked with Scott. He doesn't have the time to serve as a delegate. So, Steve, you want to keep going and somebody else would like to volunteer, that would be great. The other alternates.
I'll continue.
Okay. So, yes, Steve, you'll continue.
Yes.
Is there anyone else who would like to volunteer?
this is Todd Corain.
Thank you, Todd.
You want to take a quick vote to not to appoint them as delegates?
Could I have a motion to appoint both Todd and Steve as delegates to the CMRPC?
This is Nick. I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
It's Ronnie. I'll make a second.
Okay, roll call vote. Nicholas Lynch,
Aye.
Ron Brooks,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
Todd Corain,
Aye.
myself, John Regan, is a vote. Thank you, gentlemen, for volunteering. Moving on to decisions, I don't think we have any.
No.
And then we have the meeting minutes for 9/22/2020. I made one small correction in spelling. Unless anybody else found anything else, I'd like to have a motion to approve as amended.
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
Chambers, I'll second.
All those in favor? Todd Corain,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
Ron Brooks,
Aye.
Nicholas Lynch,
Aye.
myself, John Regan, is an aye. It is a vote. There's no new business unforeseen by the chair that I'm aware of. And member town planner update.
No, I don't have any.
Okay. So the next thing we have to decide is when the next planning board meeting will be. Unfortunately, in 2 weeks, our planning board meeting falls on the same night as the town meeting. So we have to either just have one planning board meeting this month and move it to November 10th, which is what I'm in favor of, but that's up to you guys, or we do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday. We can't do it on a Monday because that's a selectmen's meeting. So it'd have to be, and we can't even do it on a Thursday, can we? We can't even do it on a Wednesday because that's conservation, isn't it?
John.
Yes, sir.
John, what was your date?
November 10th.
That's not election day, is it?
No, November 3rd is, Ron. They won't even have the votes counted by November 10th.
November 10th will sound good to me.
Okay, could I have a motion?
With me.
Could I have a motion to approve the next planning board meeting to be moved to 11/10/2020?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor, Nick Lynch,
Aye.
Ron Brooks,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
Todd Corain,
Aye.
myself as an aye. It is a vote. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion. Nick.
Okay, could I have a second?
Steve Chambers, second.
All those in
Steve
favor?
Chambers, second.
All those in favor, Todd Corain,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
Ron Brooks,
Aye.
Nicholas Lynch,
Absolutely.
myself, John Regan, is an aye. It is a vote. And thank all of you for hanging in there through our long delay tonight. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Enjoy. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Have a good night.